Comrades and friends, I first joined Workers' World Party in 1975 due to the party's unique understanding that the struggle against national oppression and white supremacy can never take a back seat to capitalism and imperialism to carry out a socialist revolution in the largest imperialist country in the world. Since joining the party, I have appreciated so many other struggles, and two of those struggles were women's liberation and LGBTQ liberation. When I witnessed the emergence of the women's movement in the early 1970s as a teenager living in the South, I couldn't relate to the majority white movement that didn't take serious that women's liberation for Black women is rooted in national liberation. That all changed after being influenced by Comrade Dottie Ballin, a party founding member who wrote Feminism and Marxism. Dottie died 25 years this year, 1992. It is a pamphlet that assessed what was progressive about the women's movement as a mass movement and its narrow limitations, especially being politically and ideologically dominated by a petty bourgeois leadership who didn't have a clue about showing class solidarity with the most oppressed women because their orientation was all about reforming capitalism, not overthrowing it. And we challenged this backward ideology while trying to influence this movement by being a part of the movement, not distancing ourselves from it. Our party had so many women leaders that during this period, Workers' World Party was referred to by the movement as the matriarchy. Due to many leading women comrades like Comrade Dottie, Deirdre, and many others. Dottie wasn't the only leading comrade to elevate the revolutionary potential of working class women. Our late chairperson, Sam Marcy, wrote his groundbreaking book, quote, High Tech, Low Pay, a Marxist analysis of the changing character of the working class over 33 years ago, where he stated, and I quote, today the working class is of a thoroughgoing multinational character. Statistics appear almost daily in the bourgeois press, which show how much of the working class today is Black, Latin, of course Latinx today, Asian, Native, as well as women. The most recent study shows that white males are no longer predominant in industry. The workforce is already, this is 33 years ago, the workforce is already composed of over 40% women. And notwithstanding the heavy Black and Latin unemployment, their percentage of the workforce continues to increase significantly. To continue what Sam said, but what has not been pointedly brought to the attention of the public is that the working class as a whole in the United States has changed dramatically in another sense. The predominance of the skilled over the unskilled, of the higher paid over the lower paid, has narrowed continually. In almost all of the service industries, there is a growing preponderance of new low-paid workers. The labor force has shifted from what it was decades ago, a mostly urban white working class, to one that is of a multinational character, which does not at all enjoy the privileges which accompanied the earlier rise of the capitalist system in the United States, end quote. This popularization of labor that intensified, as did the global capitalist crisis of low wages, has created the feminization of labor. Sam explained, quote, the further development of the processes of capitalist production has forced many more women out of the home and into the workforce. It is these objective trends, more than any subjective factors, which have broken up the old family structure headed by the male breadwinner. The popularization of labor has made it imperative that women work, end quote. This feminization of labor manifests itself with women workers, especially the most oppressed women, Black, Latinx, and Native, being in the forefront of not only economic struggles, especially 15 an hour, but also political struggles for water rights at Standing Rock, or Black Lives Matter, including Black trans women lives matter, and of course, reproductive justice. As an activist with the International Working Women's Coalition, there is no more important issue that impacts women, no matter their nationality, gender expression, socioeconomics, young and old, those with abilities and disabilities, than the issue of sexual oppression. That is rape, assault, harassment, abuse, domestic violence, etc. If the current Me Too hashtag campaign became an explosion with so many women actors exposing movie mogul Harvey Weinstein as a sexual predator, the election of white supremacist Donald Trump and his well-known history of misogyny was really the real catalyst. Every day a misogynist is being exposed, like Judge Roy Moore and Al Franken. The Me Too campaign has been liberating for so many women who have lived in silence and deep-seated pain of being sexually assaulted, but now more and more women realize that they're not alone. This campaign has brought widespread awareness of this war. This is a war on women. There's no doubt about that. But how can any real change be made when the voices of millions of other women haven't been heard because of who they are due to being marginalized and disenfranchised under capitalism? There are migrant women who face rape and death daily by the Border Patrol when forced to flee their homeland due to imperialism. There are Black and brown single mothers whose bosses threaten their low-wage jobs if they don't succumb to sexual advances. There are women prisoners, including trans prisoners, who are sexually assaulted daily by brutal guards, or homeless women who face similar fates in shelters. There are young women who are assaulted daily in high schools and on college campuses, knowing that they can't get any justice when administrations and the police are complicit when these assaults take place. Me Too can go but so far because it is dominated by liberals with allegiance to the Democratic Party. Struggles have to be led by the most oppressed working class women in order to become more independent, anti-racist, anti-capitalist, and anti-imperialist in terms of a perspective to lay the basis for socialism, which will liberate women of all nationalities. And I really want to point out the excellent editorial in Workers' World Party newspaper on the issue of the Me Too campaign. In conclusion, Marx and Engels stated in the Communist Manifesto, quote, "The essential conditions for the existence and for the sway of the bourgeois class is the formation and augmentation of capital. The condition for capital is wage labor. Wage labor rests exclusively on competition between the laborers. The advance of industry, whose involuntary promoter is the bourgeoisie, replaces the isolation of the laborers due to competition by the revolutionary combination due to association. The development of modern industry, therefore, cuts from under its feet the very foundation on which the bourgeoisie produces and appropriates products. What the bourgeoisie therefore produces above all are its own gravediggers. Its fall and the victory of the proletariat are inevitable," end quote. And the most militant of all the gravediggers will be women. So I want to ask all the women to raise their fists, including trans women. This is in tribute to Comrade Dottie Ballin, and all women who have given their lives to the liberation of all humanity to say, working and oppressed women of the world unite.